People at the top are collaborating. People at the bottom are suffering. But surrounding yourself with great people and always doing the right thing, it's going to come back around. And the minute you make an unethical decision, it's going to bite you.
Laura Sabia is a serial entrepreneur, and we are going to find out some of the reasons why Laura is so successful.
When you're interviewing someone and in your gut you feel a little weird, call it then. Someone is sending you a message. Every time I don't listen to my gut, I regret it, or I wish I did it sooner. When I was writing my book and really processing everything that I had done and accomplished, I was like, wow, you don't think about it all in one place because you just get up every day and go and go and go.
You wouldn't start your business again knowing what you know now because you had so much probably blood, sweat, and tears that went into it.
Yeah.
It's almost like you now know too much.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. I was telling somebody my entrepreneurial journey a couple of years ago, and I was like, I don't know if I could do all of that again. And they were like, well, you don't have to. You already did it. I've seen how the sausage is made. So I'm like, oh, I don't think I would want to do that again.
Hi, Laura. Welcome to All Over Again podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. I feel like we talk so much offline, so I'm going to try to keep some of the good stuff for the show. Laura Sabia is a serial entrepreneur, a successful one at that, and we are going to find out some of the reasons why Laura is so successful. And spoiler alert, a lot of it has to do with how she manages her personal and professional life. And I can't wait for you to meet her. So welcome, Laura.
Thank you so much. That was such a nice introduction.
Oh, thank you. Mm-hmm. So, Laura, I've already sort of set the stage. I'd love to hear who you feel like you are in 3 adjectives.
This is funny because it's hard to pick 3 adjectives, but I would say definitely passionate, resilient, and humble.
I love these. And I feel like you're also incredibly ambitious in the best possible way.
Thank you. Yeah, that's ambitious is a good one too. I could claim that one.
I love that one. So to that end, I feel like if you were seated at a dinner party with one person, with us or not, who would that person be?
I would love to sit down with Dolly Parton. I think she is just so magical and lovely and has the best responses to questions, has really overcome being a female in a man's world. I really think she's just a powerhouse and I'm really inspired by her.
You look at Dolly Parton and you think, oh my gosh, she is so incredibly female, mm-hmm. right? She owns it. And yet she is tough with a smile.
Yeah.
It's really very inspirational.
I saw a quote one time because you know how she wears all the different wigs?
Yes.
So I saw a quote one time and it was men call me a dumb blonde or something like that. And she goes, and all I do is laugh because I'm not dumb and I'm not blonde. And I thought that was so funny. It's she's actually not blonde. It's a wig. And I just thought that was hilarious.
That's fascinating.
Isn't that funny though?
Yes.
Just the comment. She's like, well, I'm not dumb and I'm not blonde. So good for you.
And she says everything with a smile. Mm-hmm. So of course, people want to peg her a certain way.
Yeah.
Where she's beautiful, yep. She's blonde, and she smiles a lot. So of course, she must just not be that intelligent. But clearly,
yep.
She has everyone fooled.
Yeah.
I love that. So if you could go back in time, what would you do all over again and why?
So I knew you were going to ask me this question because it's your whole podcast theme. And I was like, how am I going to answer this question? I think, so I have 2 answers to this question because I was telling somebody my entrepreneurial journey a couple of years ago. And I was like, I don't know if I could do all of that again. And they were like, well, you don't have to. You already did it. And I was like, what a great answer. I did already do it. I don't need to go do it again. It was just that much work. You forget about it. And when I was writing my book and really processing everything that I had done and accomplished, I was like, wow, you don't think about it all in one place because you just get up every day and go and go and go. But I would say the biggest thing that I did was move from Florida to Connecticut, not knowing a single person, and building my first business from scratch with no funding and just really, grinding to make it work. And I thought to myself, God, I could never do that again now that I know what I know, or I would do it differently. But that's actually how I met my husband. So I would do it again in a second because I am so happy. I feel like I have like my own Prince Charming. So it's like one of those things where it's like, wow, I wouldn't want to do that again. But if I had to, I would.
To get to exactly where you are today.
Yeah.
With Frank.
Yep.
And with the business that you have. But you said something that was really interesting. You were talking about you wouldn't start your business again knowing what you know now because you had so much probably blood, sweat, and tears that went into it.
Yeah.
It's almost like you now know too much.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. I've seen how the sausage is made. So I'm like, oh, I don't think I would want to do that again. But I've learned so much that I could do it completely differently and probably be more successful because you don't know what you don't know until you start to do stuff and get in the weeds of things.
Is there one thing that you look back in hindsight and say, I would do this one thing differently?
There's so many things I think I would do differently. I think the biggest thing is like I'm actually a really good delegator. So I wouldn't say delegate more, but I think I would have hired someone to help me sooner. Like in the beginning, I was doing literally every job from like cleaning the toilets to checking people in, like to the sales, to the training. So it was like too much for one person, but I didn't think that hiring someone could help me. I thought it was just going to cost me more money. I didn't understand that sometimes when you hire people, it frees you up to do more important stuff. So like, yes, I can clean the toilet, but is that worth my time? Probably not. And I think I held on to things for too long.
That's really great insight. So what was the inspiration behind becoming an entrepreneur? Was it something that you inherently always had in your blood, or is it something that was inspired through someone else?
That's another really good question. I'm not exactly sure is the answer to that, but I've had jobs in the past. And I remember post my first year after college, I had this job and I came home to my roommate and I was like, "Ugh, they're doing it this way and it would just be so much more efficient to do it this way." And I told them, like, I can't think of like an exact example, but it was basically like there was just so much red tape in this process for an event they were planning. And I was like, it's so much easier if they just do it this way. It's more logical. It saves them money and time. And like, why are they making me do it this way? And she was like, well, that's just how it works sometimes when you work in corporate America. And I was like, yeah, but that's stupid. Like, I just like couldn't get over the fact that it was not an effective use of time. And then I think I've always just like been a little bossy. And bossy people I don't think realize they're bossy because it's like a competence thing, not so much like you're telling people what to do. So I just didn't really like working for other people because I would be like, that's not the best way to do it. And like a lot of times bosses don't want to be corrected. And I feel like I'm a different type of boss where I'm like, if someone can find a better way to do it, like, please tell me. Like, let's maximize our efficiency. And so I just had a different perspective. And nobody in my family was an entrepreneur. And when I did decide to move away and open this business, everyone was like, oh my God, you're going to fail. Like nobody had positive things to say. It was very negative, which was really also like you're overcoming like all the things you're learning trying to be an entrepreneur and then everybody telling you it's a terrible idea. And what I've learned over time is that people are like scared for you and they're projecting those emotions onto you because they don't have the courage or the tenacity to do something. So they're thinking like if it was them, they would fail, so they don't have the courage to do it themselves and they kind of project that negativity on you. And so I didn't really know. I didn't really think through the entrepreneur thing. I think people are very much like, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur. And it's very glamorized now, like as like a career or something people want to do. I was just really passionate about something. And I was 25. I was young enough that I didn't really think about the entrepreneur thing. I just was going through the motions and making something happen.
Still young enough, but had your ability to reason?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you harnessed your boss.
Mm-hmm.
And became one. I love this.
Yeah.
What made you decide to pick up and leave Florida, where it's warm, and come to Connecticut? Were you just like, oh, Connecticut would be a great market to open this business concept?
Sort of. I actually really wanted to do New York City.
Okay.
But I was 25 and I thought I can't afford to build a business, move to New York City, do the whole Sex and the City thing. Like I really had that was what I wanted, but I was like I can't afford to do that. Like that's just not realistic. And so then I was looking at suburbs of Connecticut or like suburbs of New York City. And I thought, oh, Greenwich is a really nice place. Like I should look at that market. And that market was actually already sold to a different franchisee, but it wasn't open yet. So I know I had a sorority sister from Greenwich, so I knew of the market from her and thought like, oh, that could be a really great market. And they were like, yeah, we already have someone who has that area, but what about Westport? And I was like, what's Westport? So I called my sorority sister and I was like, how far is Westport from Greenwich? Do you know anything about it? And she was like, oh, it's a really cute little beach town. I think you'd love it. And I was like, okay, done. Like that was like the only kind of conversation and like research that I really did on it was asking her opinion. But I knew she wasn't going to give me bad information or steer me wrong. Like if she was like, abort, like that's not a good fit, I would have been like, okay, not a good fit. And I would have looked somewhere else. So.
I mean, and Westport now is so much more than a cute little beach town. It's really impressive.
Yeah, it is. It has really, really come a long way.
It's really grown. How many businesses have you opened to date?
I'd have to count them. I've opened, 11 businesses. But what's interesting is some of them I consider the same, but my team does not. So like when I say like I own 3 Pure Barre franchises, to me that's one business. Like I own Pure Barre and then there's 3 locations, right? But the team sees it as like, no, that's 3 separate things, but they operate and function as one. So to me, that's not 3 separate businesses. It's all the same. I was doing the same thing over and over. And then I opened a different fitness concept with a partner that complemented Pure Barre, and we opened 2 locations. But to me, that was one brand, one business. Same with my magazines. Like I have 3 different magazines, but that's all my media company. So like even my book, like I kind of put that under like the media umbrella. I don't think like, oh, I wrote a book and that's like its own separate thing. Like I kind of combine them all into one thing. So maybe I lessen it a little bit because I do think that it's the same thing repeated, not different.
You are actually now a multi-hyphenate, just saying.
Yeah.
So, right, you added in the author title.
Yeah.
I know you own 3 Pure Barre franchises.
So I have 3 Pure Barre franchises in Connecticut, Darien, Westport, and Fairfield. I have the media company that has the 3 magazines, Greenwich Lifestyle, Darien New Canaan Lifestyle, and then Upper Westchester in New York. I have my book. I have a digital fitness app that's kind of on the bookshelf for now. We had a physical location and decided the juice wasn't worth the squeeze and it was time to close it. But I have all the content and some online users. And so right now it's kind of just like sitting on the bookshelf for like a time. Like if I want to revitalize it, I can. But in my opinion, it's just an asset. So I didn't want to dissolve it. People are still using it. I own, all the stuff on the platform. So I'm not really focused on that one right now. And then my book.
And you're developing a community.
I was just going to say, and then there's that too. So I have the online community for female entrepreneurs that I started. It's very small right now. I get a lot of requests for business consulting, and it's just really not something I want to do. It doesn't fill my cup. It takes a lot of time. It's I use the expression like, is the juice worth the squeeze all the time? Like when people ask me something, I'm like, is that worth it? Like, what is the outcome? And like, while business consulting can be very fulfilling, and maybe I'll do that in my retirement to help people, it's not something that is for me right now at this stage in my life. And so I kept getting asked, and people were like, trying to give me money to do this. And I was like, I can't do this. And I was like, how about I create this like online community platform that has the resources that people will need, and it will be more evergreen. So if they want specific things that I would give advice on, it's in the platform. So it's essentially like they pay to join the community membership. All the resources are in there. They can access them at any time. And then we do, right now it's monthly programming. Hopefully one day it will turn into weekly programming. And then all of the programming is also then recorded and uploaded. So if you miss a session, you're able to go on. But that kind of gives me just enough time to be able to focus on it where it's not like my everyday priority and it's just something fun. And the minute it becomes not fun, like I'm not going to do it because it's not paying my mortgage. It's really just like I want to be able to help people and give them advice. And these are the parameters that we're going to do that in. And then I'll do some events with it and things like that. So,
well, community is very important to you,
Yeah.
right? That's part of the reason you have the magazines and you do so much with the magazines. And it sort of extends beyond the pages, both digitally and you know, you have that beautiful
Absolutely.
magazine
Yeah.
that you touch and feel.
Absolutely.
Right. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And you are so integrated in the community. So you mentioned that you'll be doing events with this community element. Can you share what you kind of plan to do, like how you see this element, this community living out in the wild?
So kind of. I hope I can explain it well because it's kind of just still in my brain and I haven't really executed it yet. So I'm very much someone who's like, okay, here's my idea. Now I need to find someone who can like put the idea to paper and help execute it. I've learned that about myself is like I can be a good idea person and structure things and say like yes or no if it looks good, but then I need someone else to like do the day to day. Like I'm not a good details or day to day person to like actually get it to its fruition. So my hope for it, and it's selfish because I'm doing it because I want to be able to travel with it and make it like a fun experience that can go like to my favorite places. Like I used to live in Florida. I want to go to Florida. I'm like, okay, how can I do a workshop in Florida and like help people there and like do different things? So I want it to be more like workshop based. So when people come to an event, there's like networking and collaboration and they meet people and they can kind of like meet their new business besties type of thing. I love that saying. But then there's an actual learning component to it. So we would bring in specific speakers or specific topics if people need them for their business. And then we would promote that specific topic. So say someone really wants to dive in, how can AI help my business? And we have a 9 to 12 workshop on AI. They're able to get there after drop off and then be home before pickup. So it's a small like type of workshop that's like during the day and people will be able to apply something right away to their business. So not like an all day thing where people are, you know, in session after session, but like something digestible that they can do on a mom schedule.
So you're building community, but you're also building actionable ways to build a career and or business.
Yeah, because anytime you can go to conferences and really lean into what other people are doing in your industry, if you take something away, you learn it and you apply it to your business, it's going to help you grow. But how do you do that on a smaller, more realistic scale? Because I think the number one person who got hurt during the COVID pandemic was the working mom because they had to, all of a sudden they had to homeschool. All of a sudden they couldn't commute to their job anymore because they aren't the breadwinner and someone had to stay home and they had to change their life. And I think women don't have the same opportunities because they are the ones having kids and they're going to choose their kids first. But how do we create an environment that helps the modern woman thrive? And so my whole, like, I've actually had people ask me, like, they're like, so can guys, like, not join your community? And I'm like, well, I guess they could, but, like, I don't really want them. Like, they're not our market. They're not, you know, and everyone's like, oh, you have to, like, open it up and, like, let all these people in. And I'm like, well, I really don't. Like, that's not our niche and that's not who we're trying to help. Like, it's great if a guy wants to participate. Like, we're not going to tell you no, but like know that the programming is not going to be geared to you. And if you're going to complain about that, like maybe find something else for you. Like, we're focused on helping female entrepreneurs. Like, that is our goal.
I love that you're so specific about that.
Yeah.
And as an ex-corporate marketer and somebody who was in that world for so long, it reminds me of being in the boys' club world, right?
We need a girls' club.
We need a girls' club because it's true. When you work in that environment, you're lucky to find allies. Like I was lucky to find allies and mentors as a result. But you have to search for the mentor.
Totally.
You have to search for the allyship. It's not a given. Whereas in the boys' club, it's kind of like, oh, hey, Sam.
Yeah.
You know, you've got potential.
Yeah.
I'm going to help you get to the next level or whatever. Or maybe it's nepotism or whatever else. It's just a given. But they kind of take somebody under their wing, whereas women sort of have to seek that out. And I feel like you and I were talking about this in an earlier conversation. I really
enjoyed
enjoyed
mentorship.
working with
Yeah.
my male bosses because there was no drama
Mm-hmm.
and because they really helped help me get to the next level in a way that was just conducive to where I wanted to go next. There was no drama.
Yep.
And they were just wonderful to be able to work with. We kind of came up with this crop of female bosses that didn't necessarily want us to succeed because they saw us as competition and threats, right?
Yep.
I've only had one female boss who never did that to me, Elizabeth Harrison. I literally only have ever had one female boss who wanted to see her team grow and thrive and was not intimidated by young women becoming great in their jobs because she knew she was really good and she had confidence.
I was just going to say it's confidence, right? Like if you have confidence, you're not worried about people doing better. You should want them to do better because then you don't have to work as hard. Like if people are outperforming the standards you set for them, then that's only going to benefit you at the end of the day.
Oh my gosh, right?
Yeah.
Like a secret to success. A secret to success is like love what you do, care.
Yeah.
And make your bosses look good.
Yeah.
And then if you make your bosses look good, you can really do anything.
Yeah.
And if they're still not letting you do everything, you're in the wrong room.
Yep.
Get out.
And that's the great thing. So speaking of rooms, like for the community, as it grows, like right now it's still really small, but we'll be able to like break people out into different industries, areas around the country, different like career paths. And so someone lives in like Texas could go in and say like, I'm having this problem or project at work. Has anyone had experience like from this? And then someone in the Northeast can reply and they're not competing, right? And they're able to collaborate and work together. And it's like connections that people can make within the community in addition to the resources that we're providing them to level up their.
Right. Because the networking is so much more than how can this help us get to, the next contact or career move or whatever.
Yep.
It's accountability.
Yep.
It's support.
Yep.
It's actually confidence building.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't know what you don't know.
Yes.
And if someone has the answer, like, why not ask? I think that's people don't like to ask for information. They just want to be told or like figure it out on their own. And it's like if someone's already gone down that path, why not figure out the easier way? Like, why are you going to make your life harder? And then something else you said I found interesting, the drama thing, working with men. Like, so we actually have a no drama policy that everyone signs when they get hired. Yeah, so we have a no drama policy. They have to sign it. Really, no one ever mentions it. Like, again, like they kind of like they sign the handbook, they sign whatever their offer letter is. They sign the no drama policy. Anyone who ever questions the no drama policy is always the drama. And I find that so interesting because if you're not dramatic, you don't question it. Like you're like, this is great, no drama policy. Like you love it. But if you're dramatic, you like need to talk about it and you need to be like, what is this about? Like what happened that this is a policy? And so I think that that's so telling. And so that's always my first like tell if someone questions the no drama policy. I'm like, okay, you're going to be a problem. I need to like give you like a 30, 60, 90 like eyeballs on you and like really make sure you're going to be good at this.
That is honestly such a great undercover test.
Yeah, I didn't even mean for it to be a test. It's just the data, right? Like it's just the actual facts that have happened over time.
But was this like a legal document that you were like,
I asked my attorney, I was like, can I have a no drama policy that they like initial, like, I will treat everyone with kindness or like, and he was like, you can do whatever you want. Like, it's fine. I was like, all right. So yeah, it's literally like a legal document that they sign like on our letterhead and it's one page and they initial all the different things. I've gotten really aggressive with over communicating and over sharing, like even with my clients. So like if someone comes in and wants to be a member at the facility, I'm like, okay, here's our studio policies document. So like, here's what we expect of you if you're going to be a member here. You will show up to class on time. We do not allow late entry. And you're not going to get mad at us if you're late. Like that's on you. Like you need to like, and so we actually like put all these things in the policy. We make them initial each one. And then at the end, it says, I'll treat staff with the same kindness and respect that I expect them to treat me with. And people always, they're like, wow, like you really had to put that in there. And we're like, yeah, we really did, because people can be awful. And so we want to, from day one, set that foundation and that tone that like, we will not tolerate bad behavior from you as a customer. So
Well, you clearly had to put that in there because there was some
people are
preceding
wild.
moment.
Yeah.
Is there a story you can share that
God.
sort of inspired? Because I'm now very curious.
Yeah. It's been so long since we've had that I truly I can't pinpoint exactly when we started that. But gosh, let me think about a story. Like, I mean, just this week alone, like we've had some crazy stories, but this is like a small one that like is so mindless. But so we have a mom who likes to come into the studio. She doesn't like to pre-register or sign up. She just likes to show up, which is, if there's space, like that is her right, and that's totally fine. But she likes to email 5 minutes before. And so basically post-COVID, like pre-COVID, that would have been a different conversation. There was always somebody there. But like the market has changed and the business has changed. And economically, it does not make sense to pay for someone to be sitting at the front desk 24/7. We're helping our clients that are in front of us. Like we can't be on the email all day when there's people in the studio. So she likes to email like 5 minutes before and be like, I'm bringing my daughter. And then there's no room, or the daughter's not signed up, or the credit card doesn't work. And she like plays these games where she like tries to basically get class for free by not signing up, like hoping the teacher won't add her, or like they won't. Yeah. And so I had to have this conversation with her where I was like, we really value you as a client. And I was super nice about it. But I mean, we know I'm a little direct, but I was super nice. And I was like, but you need to pay for services moving forward before you use them. Like we can't spend time and money and energy chasing you down for services rendered. Like you have to do it beforehand. And whether that's buying a membership or a package, like we can't do this chase thing. Like there's an app, you can download it, you could pay on the app, you can buy a pack of 10 up front. Like there are options. It's very easy. And she told me that it was the worst customer service she'd ever experienced because I told her that she had to pay for her services. And in my head, I was like, then you don't need to be a client here. Like, if you think that that's bad customer service, you can go somewhere else and then tell me, like, how you feel. Because we know that we do a great job. We give exceedingly great customer service. And I don't think it's bad for us to say you have to pay for that. Like, you don't go to a restaurant and think, I'm not going to pay for this burger. Like, you pay for it. So it's like, there's processes in place and people they get really aggressive.
She has a dine and ditch mentality to begin with.
I guess. Yeah, for sure. And like we've had situations too where like this wasn't an actual customer, but we had a daughter use her father's credit card. This actually happens a lot. Kids will use their parents' credit cards. And then the parents will contact us and email us and be like, I didn't approve this charge. And, we have to either talk to the member because like we really can't be talking about like who's there, who's not. Not that it's a HIPAA thing, but it's just like privacy. Like
Sure.
It could be, we're like, we're not going to talk to you about that.
You also don't know the circumstances behind it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we kind of just don't get involved in that. And then like I had a father come in irate, like screaming at one of my managers. And I was like, this is a you and your child problem. Like, this isn't an us problem. No. Do you know, this is like you allowed her to use your credit card.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with me. And he's like, well, I'm going to dispute the charge. And I was like, then I'm going to file a fraud complaint. Because like clearly, like it's like they fight you and they try and threaten you like that you're going to back down and be scared if you don't give them what they want. But I did the math once for my managers because we're in a giving business, right? Like everyone loves health and wellness. It's their third space.
Yeah.
They love to be happy. It's like we're giving them endorphins. Like it's a great thing.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's a business.
Yes.
And we need to make money to pay people. And our services are fair pricely, and that's how it works. And so people will fight you on certain things just expecting you to like waive it or give them something for free. And not that I'm a super stickler about it, but I did the math for the team. And I was like, if we did this once a day, so we have between 5 and 7 classes a day, times 3 locations. I was like, if we just did this once a day, okay, times 3 locations, that's $30,000 at the end of the year. I was like, so that's your raise, that's your new equipment. And I like went through, like, this is the problem that happens if we do this. Like, you cannot give it away. Their eyes were like, I didn't think about that. Because at the time, you're like, oh, it's only $40. It's only, like, you just are like, it's fine. But when you do it every single day for a year, that's how much money it is. And they were so mind blown that now they're the ones enforcing it. So I think sometimes when you really like educate people on like those little decisions and systems and processes and why they are the way they are, then they can get behind it. But I think customers lie and people want to believe them and they don't have all the facts. So if it's just, nope, it's the same for everybody, then it eliminates all those problems and keeps a healthy business.
That makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
And I appreciate how business-minded you are to take it down to dollars and cents
Yeah.
and show the impact on the business.
Yeah.
So to that end, I know and noticed that when you were sharing your businesses earlier, there was a couple that were missing that I thought that you had previously owned.
I haven't sold any businesses. I had a business with a partner that we dissolved and went our separate ways, and then I rebranded it into my own concept.
Okay.
And then I acquired a row house franchise during COVID. I thought it was going to be a great investment because I bought it at an all-time low with COVID. Like the gyms were not open. Like I was like, well, if I buy this now and open it, like this will be great. I thought that the math made a lot of sense because it was men and women, whereas my current fitness facility is 99% women, like that's who the market is for that. And so I was like, oh, these numbers make total sense. Of course I could have double the membership at a co-ed space versus, just mostly women. And I actually closed it maybe 3 years after giving it like a fair go. And it was one of those things like my financial advisor kept telling me, like, you should close this thing. Like, it's not worth it. But like, and they're looking at numbers and data and I appreciate that. But when you have emotion, it makes it a lot harder to make those decisions because you're like, I can do this, right? Like, you're like, I can make this work. I know exactly what I need to do. I inherited quite a terrible staff, if I'm being honest. We had to like pretty much restaff, but like we kept some of them. And it was very much like, here's how we do things in this company and this is how it's going to work. And they kept being like, well, we want to do it this way. This is what we always did. And I was like, well, yeah, but that failed. That's why I'm here. Like, and it's not up to you. You're not the one who spent $150,000 on this business. So you don't have a say. And if that's a problem for you, then like, you don't have to work here. I wish that one, was more direct with them sooner, and two, closed it sooner. It was like one of those things where I was just kind of like, I need to close this, but maybe I'll give it one more month. And like I kept trying to make something work, and it was just a terrible business and a terrible business model. It wasn't fun. I think like the minute you're not having fun in your business, like that's a huge red flag too. It was just it wasn't a good model. I started to see that I saw like the writing on the wall and was like, it's time to go. Like I didn't care anymore. Like I was like, this is no longer, it goes back to like the juice isn't worth the squeeze. I started thinking about like my time and how much longer was on the lease and like what that looked like. And I was like, I do not want to be doing this in 5 years. Like I have 7 years left on this lease. Started like really thinking about like what that looked like from a day-to-day perspective. And then looking at the numbers on the P&L, I was like, yeah, this has got to go. And like, I'd rather take the loss now and be able to channel that energy somewhere else. And it was one of the best decisions. And I think the hard thing for entrepreneurs, and myself included, is you worry so much about like, I worried about like, how are the members going to feel if I close this? And what are people going to think about my other businesses if I couldn't make this work? And they see, like you worry about things that like no one cares about. Like no one is thinking about the empty storefront. And if they think about the empty storefront, they're not thinking about the person who put up all the money to try and open the business and build something. Like those are not even things that people think about. And we kept trying to make it work, and it economically did not make sense. And it was actually causing my other businesses to suffer because I was giving time to this like black hole, essentially. Like it was like sucking me in, and I was like, I don't need to be doing this. Like it was just some, bad energy. And so I closed that one. And then I also, my business that I had with the partner where we had multiple locations, it's a really cool concept. I'm still super passionate about it, but economically, I think being in a suburb, it didn't work well. So it was a group fitness class on the elliptical machine.
Okay.
So it was a very small, compact elliptical. So like I do not like spin classes, but people love them. And I was like, there's got to be another way to get this like cardio high that complements like a toning type of workout, you know, and I really loved the concept. And so we tried to make it work. And then I never had any idea that I would go digital with that business. But during COVID, we kind of had to. So we were bringing things digitally. And I was like, maybe that's the model for this because everyone has an elliptical in their basement. And so we pivoted to digital and it was so much better than in person and way less headaches, no machine maintenance, no rent. Like you're paying for the server and like the storage and all that, but there's no brick and mortar maintenance to it. We still have members on it using the platform. We're just not recording new content right now. So that's why I said it's kind of on the bookshelf because it's like it's not over, but it's just not a right now thing. If I want to pick it back up and do something, I totally could, but I just don't feel the need to do that right now. And if someone came to me in 5 years and was like, I want to, you know, buy the trademark and the manuals and like maybe do this, I would maybe consider having a conversation. But right now it's just like my effort is elsewhere and I'm happier with the endeavors that I'm working on. And it kind of goes back to passion. Like I did give that my all. And I feel like at some point you have to like be logical and look at the data and say like, okay, we're moving in a different direction. And so I actually had a wild situation with that one. I got home one day and I had a FedEx envelope at my door and it was like a trademark infringement case. And so I had obviously trademarked Club Sweat, like I own the brand. And actually it's under my husband's name. He owns the brand, but I did it all. And I get this like FedEx envelope and I was like, huh. And I was like, is this fake? Like I didn't think it was real because it was like a big conglomerate that bought an app online called Sweat. And then they trademarked the word sweat. And they were trying to say that I couldn't use Club
The word sweat?
Yeah. So they were
Are
like,
you kidding?
Yeah, it was wild. And so that's I think also why I'm passionate because I fought so hard for it. Like I actually
Did
went.
you actually
Yes.
have to?
So I emailed it to my lawyer and I was like, "Is this real?" Like I thought it was a joke, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I was like, "Is this real?" And he was like, "Oh, yep, we're gonna have to fight that. That's real." But like I owned the trademark, so it didn't matter. I just had to go through the process. But they were, you know, they were trying to like David and Goliath me, like we're the big guy and we're gonna make you spend a ton of money until you give up. And if you went online and looked in like the trademark searches, like a lot of people like folded and like, you know, dropped their trademark. And I was like, I've worked way too hard for this. Like I am not giving it up. And so then we were having to like come to an agreement on like what we could do. And they were trying to say like, well, you're just in Connecticut. So you haven't had multi-state. So you can't say that you have this trademark. And I was like, actually, I have members from New York. And so I had to like pull so much data. And then like when we went digital, they didn't want me competing with their digital. And I was like, we're pretty niche. Like we're an elliptical workout, but they owned like that app and like Nordic Track and like huge company.
Wow.
And I was just like, well, I'm just gonna blow up your trademark if we can't agree. And then basically they wanted like to do depositions and all this stuff. And they were trying to bully me, trying to be like, she's not going to want to do this. She's going to be scared. And I was like, no, we can go toe to toe. Like, let's schedule depositions. And the night before the CEO's deposition, they settled and said that we could coexist. But that's the kind of stuff that I think no one sees behind the curtain in business. Like no one knew I was dealing with that while also trying to go motivate a team, right? It's like you're also trying to do everything else, but then you're getting like pummeled in the background. And I remember during COVID when all the studios were closed, it was like I had a choice and it was like you could either crawl in a hole and like pretend like you're just gonna like hide from things for a bit, or you like get up and keep working, you know? And I was just like, okay, like I've got to motivate them somehow. And I remember I had an employee at the time and she was like, you're just not a real person. Like, how can you be positive right now with everything going on in the world? And all I could think was like, what choice do I have? Like, if I'm negative, it brings everyone down. So like, just because I could be in a bad mood, I'm not going to walk in and dump it on everybody else. Like you just have, that's how it goes. Like your choice every morning. You can be in a mood or you can be positive. And that's when you lead that way, I think it makes a huge difference. And like, I do have to come down on people sometimes, but it takes me a lot to get to that point. Like if I'm coming down on you, it's been brewing. Do you know what I mean? And
happiness is a choice.
it is a choice.
You can be, and listen, there is a time and a place, and you can be mad, but don't be mean.
Yeah,
I always say
100%.
that to my child.
And I always say too, like, because people are always like, oh, I was fighting with my husband. And again, I think that's a choice. And people are like, if you don't fight with your husband regularly, like you're lying. And I'm like, no, we've literally never gotten a fight. And I could tell you the one fight we got in was about closing that stupid row house business. Like that was the one fight because he knew I needed to close it, but he knew if he knows me so well, he knew if he told me to do it, I would need to like prove it wrong. You know what I mean? So he was like waiting for me to come to the realization that like it was time. Do you know? So he was just like waiting impatiently for that, which God bless the man, but
he was patient about it?
He was, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And so that was, I think, because he knows my personality well enough to know that like if he wasn't, it wasn't going to end well. And he like needed me to make that decision. He was just like, it needs to be on you because I didn't want to regret it, right? Like, it's like, what if you give up a month too soon and that's the month or, you know, you're always going to have, I had to be comfortable being like, this is the decision and this is the time.
It had to be yours.
Yeah.
And you were holding on to hope.
It had to be my decision. Yeah. And I think, so it's funny. So it's like a choice. Like there are times where like, yeah, I've obviously been like in a mood or like hangry and like wanted to like snap. But then it's like, you can't take it back. Like once you do it and once you say something, like it's there. And so like, no, we don't fight because I think before I speak, you know, like we're a partnership, we're a team. I don't need to fight with him. And so it's funny to me because people will say that and I'm like, okay, well, we don't fight. So like if that, I feel bad that that's your life, that you're fighting with your husband because that sucks. It should be the most positive part of your day.
But I love that I'm not going to lie. My husband and I fight from time to time. I love our relationship. Yeah. I wouldn't, do it any other way. I do think that when we fight, it's more of a disagreement. We don't necessarily agree, but we respect that we don't necessarily agree.
Yeah, and you respect the other person's opinion.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to walk away.
Yeah.
And we're not yellers, but, there's definitely like, okay, really gets under my skin and I have to take a moment and what have you. But we have an understanding that, we'll come back around.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll work it out, right? So, but yes, everything I agree that you can't always choose how you feel, but what you do and how you react to those situations is absolutely a choice, right? And everybody has their something. So I do feel I feel lucky for both of us. You and Frank met in Connecticut.
Yes.
And you two really balance each other well.
We're very different, very different. But yeah, we are, and we actually know that we're different based on we've done those personality tests. So like,
of course you have.
I know, it's funny. So I can do a whole podcast on the personality test if you wanted. But so everyone I hire, I use this personality test. And like, obviously we had been married for years before I started doing this. And then we did mine, we did his, like we actually did his whole family. Like we're obsessed with the personality test. Like sometimes when we have people over for dinner, I'm like, should we send them the personality test? Like it's just fun. Like it's just like a fun thing to talk about.
I want to do it.
And then I'm going to send it to you today.
I have done them in corporate America before.
It's amazing.
But it's been a really long time. I think I need a refresher.
Well, what it helps with is like, and I learned this about myself. So you have all the personality tests, right? And I don't see like when you asked about me being an entrepreneur, it's in my blood, but I don't know it's in my blood because it's just who I am. So I think everybody's that way, right? Like you just think people are like you. Like that's just how it goes. When you look at the data on the paper for my personality test, I'm in like the top 10% of risk-taking people in the world. Like it's like that's pretty ambitious. So I have to like know that like when I'm talking to people that like I need to pull it back because they're not thinking that way. And it's really hard because I'm like a big visionary person. Like basically I'm told based on this personality test that I live like in the future. Like this has already happened. We've already scaled it to this. And now how are we going to get there? And so I also learned that one of my regional managers, she is a really good buffer for me because she understands my vision, but then can explain it to other people. I can't explain it to the normal person. So a personality like me works best with a buffer like that. And I happened to have one and not know when we were doing all these tests. And my husband literally said to me when we were doing all this information, he was like, that's why Jess works so well for you, because she's literally your buffer. And I was like, I had no idea. Like, we just didn't. And so we had no idea. Then we do Frank's personality test.
So wait, so Jess, you've already arrived to the solution.
Yeah.
You already know how the outcome is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And Jess is the person who effectively implements your go-to-market strategy.
She makes it real. I'll be like, here's my idea. And she's like, yeah, that's not realistic, but here's what we could do. Do you know what I mean? So like I'll have like a big picture idea. Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's amazing.
Sometimes I'll question it. I'll be like, why?
I think that's human nature.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's amazing that you two, symbiotically work together to find a solution. I think about it like, okay, so Laura's strategic and Jess is the person who develops the go-to-market strategy to make it like happen.
Right? Like she's literally like, this will work or it won't work based on what I think. And then it's just like, here's what this looks like. She'll say to me, she'll be like, what do you want the end goal to be? Like she'll just flat out, and like she's comfortable enough with me, I think at this point too, that like she's not afraid to ask. I think that's a big thing. If people are like afraid to ask, like they're not gonna
You're never going to get your answers.
And especially because I'm so visionary, I'm not a details person. So that was the other thing that the personality test said, like, I'm terrible with details. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. I love my mother-in-law. So I'm not, this is like, she's going to be the first person to listen to the podcast. Like, I love her to death. She's so supportive, so amazing. I was like too cheap to get flowers for our wedding because we were paying for our own wedding. And I was like, I don't really need flowers. It's fine. And she was like, I really would like if you got flowers. Like, I'll pay for them. And I was like, I just don't even want to do it. Like, I don't want to go there. It's just not important. It wasn't important to me, And I was like, I'll whatever. And she was like, can I do it? And like, this can be my contribution to the wedding. Like, I would really like to do this for you and Frank. And I was like, if it will make you happy, absolutely. Like, I would love for you to do that. So I never saw the flowers until I got to the church. And I was like, they were beautiful. Totally not what I would have picked, but I was like, here we are. Like, I didn't care because it wasn't like, that wasn't my detail. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So like when it comes to like little details, like people were probably at our wedding being like, why didn't they have like this or that? But it just like wasn't important to me. Like, I'm not a details person, but I have to hire people who are details people because the stuff will get missed. And so I learned that I'm not a details person. I also, this was so funny. I was sitting with my sister and they're talking about the personality test, and we're very different too. And it was like anyone whose like blue dot is to the left of the line, most people's is on the right. Anyone's who's on the left, they are a master delegator. They will delegate everything, like their own job. They'll delegate their own job away. Like if they have, like they'll delegate everything and they're a pro at it. And my sister started like cackling because my dot was to the left of the line. And I was
knew
like,
where this was going.
And I was like, oh, I guess, like, but I didn't realize that it's hard for other people to delegate. Like
it's extremely difficult for most people.
I'm like, why? Just delegate it.
Because in business, you're not actually emotional, which is why I was actually it was very surprising to me when you said that you were emotionally attached to your business, right? The one that you didn't want to let go. And it sounds like maybe it was in retrospect more of the idea of it failing than actually having it not succeed. Yeah. Even though you walked away with a great learning, it's still probably so. The question I have for you is, are you comfortable with change or uncomfortable with change?
I don't know.
No, but really.
I think it depends, like, in the context.
Are you comfortable with change? Like, something happens spur of the moment. I mean, I would imagine that you are. Okay, the pandemic hit. You had to pivot. Yep. You just went with it. Like, something happens in your personal life. Yeah. Like we've talked about. I think it could be devastating, but then you just you pivot because you feel like it's the right thing to do, and then you don't really look back. I get the sense you're comfortable.
I'm a good problem solver. Yeah. So like I love when people are like, I have this problem, I have this challenge. I'm like, ooh, let's talk about it. Let's come up with 3 scenarios and like pick the best one kind of thing. Like I feel like I spend a lot of my time putting out fires. And then every time I put out a fire, I'm like, this wouldn't have happened if there was a system in place because I'm also a systems person.
I love it. So change does not make you uncomfortable.
I don't think so. I mean, I like a routine.
Okay.
and I will like fight the change to my routine.
Okay.
But change doesn't bother me. Like from a like
big picture.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be living in Greenwich until we retire in Florida because it was a non-negotiable deal breaker for my husband. So I'm like very like, I know that the move thing isn't going to happen because we like committed to like raising our family there and living there and like being there forever. But when it comes to like, I don't know. I don't have a problem with change. No,
Okay.
I don't. I don't think so.
That's and I ask you this because interestingly enough, I'm very comfortable with change.
Yeah.
Maybe too comfortable. I'm not saying that I don't get a little bit like, oof.
Yeah.
But I embrace it more readily than most. And I get the impression that you do too.
Well, and I think that with change, like the world now, we're so connected. So like when my sister had my nephew 17 years ago, and I remember being in college, getting the phone call, we would have to go on Skype. Like we didn't have FaceTime, we didn't have Zoom. So we would talk on Skype so that I could meet the baby at the time.
Skype, yes.
And now my niece who's 14, she FaceTimes me all day long. And then I just like put the phone up and like we're talking and I'm on my laptop and it's like technology has changed like how that impacts us day to day. Like when I went to college, I had a flip phone. And it was like, if I called home and like text, like remember we used to pay per text?
Yes.
So like I wasn't really allowed to text a lot because like if the bill was out of control, like I would be in trouble, you know? So like it was very much like it was harder to be connected. And now it's easier to be connected. And if you're blessed and can get on a plane and, you know, travel somewhere, it makes it easier. Like it makes it easier for people to like embrace opportunity because you can get places and you can get on a Zoom or I was going to say get on a Skype, but you can get on the computer and like be connected to people.
Anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
If you really want to be.
Yeah, if you want to be. And if you don't want to be, you also have that choice as well.
You wrote the book, You Can Thank Me Later.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the intention behind writing that book?
Yeah.
And what are two main takeaways to whet the appetite of everyone listening as to why they need to read the whole book?
Two things. I think every entrepreneur wants to write a book. Like everyone thinks like they have a story, they have like, you know, something to say or like something happens, like they want to all the tea, they want to like give all the tea out. And I was just like, so I always wanted to write a book. I did not think I would write it in my 30s. I thought it would have been like something I did 20 years from now when I was like just chilling kind of thing. Like, oh, I'm going to write a book now about my experience. During COVID, a publishing company reached out to me and they wanted to write about a female entrepreneur who owned fitness facilities and overcame COVID.
Interesting.
And I was like, I'm willing to like have a conversation. You know, they reached out to me and I was like, we were going through like the different questions. And then I told my husband when he got home that night, I was like, I thought it was like, you know, kind of lame. Like it didn't sound like it was for me. And he was like, I think that you should. So Frank's kind of like the brains sometimes behind things. Like he's very, very like, you should say this or you should do this. And so like he comes up with good ideas a lot of times for me. And I own that. And like we're very much a team. I actually dedicated the book just to him because he is like my person, you know? And he was like, I think you should go back to them and say like, he says it more funny, like not politically correct, but he'll be like, that's cute. You should tell them this. Like, and he's like, and but that's why like sometimes he's had to tone it down because he'll say things like that and then I'll repeat it the same way. And he's like, I didn't mean for you to repeat it like that. And I was like, well, you didn't say that. So I just repeated it. And so he was like, you should journey out your whole entrepreneur story. Like in 2013, you did that. Like he was like, journal it out like in a 1-page document. And he was like, and send it back because they don't understand that there was more of a story 7 years prior to COVID happening. Like he was like, this isn't all you've done. This isn't what you're known for and should be known for. He was like, you have all of these other things. So he was like, just give them a timeline basically of your story and see what they come back with. And so I did that. And they were like, oh, wow, we have no idea. Because you know what happens is they have a story in their head that they're trying to fulfill. And they didn't ask me any questions pre-COVID, you know? And so I was explaining that to him and he was like, send them back a timeline of your experience, like a resume almost. Yeah. So I did. And they were like, oh, wow, like we didn't realize that you like started this in 2013 at 25 years old, you know? So they were like, we're going to actually move this to this department and have you talk to these people because we think this is a way better story than you just owning some fitness facilities during COVID. And I was like, okay. And then I had like a team of people I was working with to like do the outline and help with the writing and the story. And they were like asking me all these questions. And this is the funny part. So I went through 3 different, like, I don't remember what they called it, but it was like a publishing director or someone I would like interview with, and then they would do the outline, and then I would like go back and fill in certain things. I went through 3 of them. The first time they gave me a guy, and I was like, this isn't going to work. Like, you don't understand the vibe and the culture. Like, I was like, you're just like not going to be my person. Like, I don't see this working, but I tried. And so we're going through the questions and everything, and they would ask me a question like, do you live in Greenwich? And I would say yes. Or like I would just like, or they'd be like, where do you live? And I'd be like, Greenwich, Connecticut. Like, I was so like cut and dry. And I went through 3 of them, and it like wasn't going well. And Frank was like, how did it go? Like on your call today? He was like so excited about this. And I was like, honestly, like pretty bad. And he was like, well, why? Like, what are they saying? Like, how is it going? And I was like, well, they asked this question and then I answered it. And he was like, so I love you, but like, this is not a deposition. You cannot give them 1-word answers. Like, he was like, you have to like elaborate on the story. And it's also really hard to talk about yourself.
Yeah.
So he was like, why don't you have them send you a list of questions? We can have a glass of wine and talk them out. You know, because then you like remember things that like I forgot that, especially like when you're building a business, like
yes.
you block stuff out. Like, I don't want to remember some of that stuff, right? So we're talking out the questions and like going through them. They send me this whole list. And so then I get back on the call and we're going through the questions, and it was like more of a conversation at that point instead of like me just saying yes to things. And it went so much better. And they were like, we're so happy that because we were about to be like, this isn't going to work because I was just so direct and so like not wanting to share because I had been through other like experiences where it's like you don't overshare information, right? But he was like, in this scenario, you have to overshare because how are they going to frame it into a story and get the reader to connect with you? And so it was a very interesting experience. But then more about the book. So it's a little...
Wait. Did that shape how you are today? You mentioned you overshare and you over-communicate with your team. Do you do that because you have learned that the over-communication is key into helping them understand the strategy, therefore they can then execute the bigger picture? Is that part of it?
On a need-to-know basis.
Okay.
I definitely like over-communicate now that I know I'm not a details person.
Okay.
So to me, it's over-communicating, but to you, it might just be like, oh, that was just the information we needed. But also, I over-communicate to people who need the information, and I don't like overshare information that's not needed. Like, if someone doesn't need to know, I don't tell them. Like, sometimes I actually don't even tell people that I own different businesses. Like, if I'm meeting with someone with the magazine, I'm not talking about how I own a fitness studio. Like, it does not come up. Like, I don't willingly share it. It's very public. Like, you could find out like very easily. And like, I'm very well known in the community. So people do know that about me, but I'm not the one telling them.
Understood.
Typically. Like, it's typically like it's either they've looked it up online or they've seen it,
Sure.
but I'm not the one sharing it. I've also, so back to the book.
If you were speaking to female entrepreneurs that were interested in starting all over again, personally, professionally, predominantly professionally, and you were thinking about the content you put into You Can Thank Me Later, what would be 2 key pieces of advice that you would share?
I'm laughing because I'm like, should I pick up the book and like look through and see what
No, I mean, it doesn't even have to be the book. It could be in general.
I think when we going back to our conversation about change,
yeah,
I think like you have to lean into change and innovation, because if you're not innovating, you're dying for sure. So like leaning into that, like I have so many people who are like, I'm so against AI. And I'm like, why? It's here to help you. Like, and also like, that's cute. Be against it if you want, but it's coming. So like, you're just going to be behind. Like, you could totally not pay attention to it, but you're just going to be missing the mark and making your life harder. My book's actually designed to be like, it's part story and then part, now how do you go back and apply this to your own life and business? So it's almost like, it's not a workbook, but there is sections where it's like, take a pause and reflect and now bring this to your own business. And I've gotten a lot of feedback from like complete strangers, like on Instagram, DMing me or sending me messages on LinkedIn saying like, I really appreciated the style of your book and I loved it and I learned so much from it. And that to me was really fulfilling. But one of the biggest things was you have to trust your gut. People like don't think about that, but it's like when you're interviewing someone and in your gut you feel a little weird, like call it then. Like that is your cue. Like someone is sending you a message, you know what I mean? Like that, like you need to let it, like that's bad. And same thing with like every time I don't listen to my gut, I regret it or I wish I did it sooner. And I think those are like the biggest things because if you have a bad feeling, there's a reason. We don't just get bad feelings, right? Like they come on from something. And
Yes.
I'll give you an example that happened to me literally yesterday. So we sent out an email saying, you know, we're hiring for this part-time position, these specific hours. If you're interested, email studio@purebarre.com. You know, like we wanted them to email directly to that location that we were hiring for. And I got an email to my personal email about it, which when you have multiple things, like I can't be getting stuff to my personal email and knowing, like compartmentalizing, like where it goes kind of thing.
Sure.
I got an email. It was not grammatically correct and they didn't follow instructions, like, because those were not the instructions. The instructions were you were to email the studio with your resume and availability. And the person just sent me like an email, not grammatically correct, and to my personal email address. So I was like, you're kind of out for me. That's my gut right there telling me like you didn't spell correctly. So we're automatically losing points.
Yeah.
She called the studio 3 times. And then this morning before we got here, she showed up and was just like, well, I knew the vibe that I could just like walk in and maybe she would be here. And the instructor was like, no, that's not a thing. And if she's interested, she'll get back to you. But like, that was my gut. When I got the email saying, like, when I got the email and saw the spelling errors, I was like, I don't think I want you on my team. Like, right away, I don't owe you a response. Like, we've never met. I don't know who you are, you know, and we just sent out an email to our database of people who have been in the facility thinking like maybe someone that we don't know or wouldn't think about might be interested.
Right.
And that I was like, no. And now she's like stalking us. And I'm like, do I have to respond to you and like let you know we're not interested? Because that's many. And I appreciate the persistency, right? Like if she was going to do sales, like I kind of like that you're a stalker. Like we need you to be a stalker. But you don't stalk me in that way. You know, that's not how you're going to get me on your good side. So the gut thing is so real. And I feel like we always ignore it and we always want things for other people. I'm super guilty of that. Like I'll be like, I really want this for that person. Like I know they can do it, but they have to want it.
Yes.
And like if you can't, and I learned that the hard way, you can't want things for other people. They have to want it. And like you can give them opportunities, but it's up to them to show up and like take the opportunity. And so I really do believe like the minute your stomach or your brain is telling you like I'm not into this, like you have to move on.
I love that you are a recovering undercover fixer, it sounds like.
Maybe,
This
yeah.
might be a discussion for another day. So, Laura, do you have any parting words of wisdom that you would like to share with listeners today? A few words of advice that you would share with female entrepreneurs about forging ahead?
I think the best advice is to surround yourself with great people because they're like, I always say this, people at the top are collaborating. People at the bottom are trying to punch each other out, like from underneath you. Like I think that people who are desperate make desperate decisions and bad moves and don't think ahead. And I think, you know, when you're really good at something and you're willing to share that information, it's just going to help everybody.
Yeah.
And so I always say that people at the top are collaborating, people at the bottom are suffering. And it's it goes back to mindset, but surrounding yourself with great people and always doing the right thing. Like just know if you do the right thing, it's going to come back around. And the minute you make an unethical decision, it's going to bite you.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here today.
Yeah.
And I will thank you later. Thank you. Seriously. I really appreciate you being here. And I can't wait for everyone to hear everything All right. Well, thank you, Laura, for being here today on All Over Again podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.